Today is Tuesday, October 22nd, 2024. Margot, please take it away.
I, Margot G.K., the Town Clerk of the Town of Morristown, do hereby state that it is 7:32 p.m. on Tuesday, October 22nd, 2024, and that this regular meeting is being held in Council Chambers, 200 South Street, Morristown, New Jersey. Adequate notice of this meeting was provided according to law by written notice to the Morristown Daily Record, the official newspaper of the Town of Morristown, and to the Newark Star Ledger, both more than 48 hours ago. Notice was also posted on the bulletin board at Town Hall and filed with the office of the Town Clerk of the Town of Morristown. I do further state that I shall enter into the minutes of this meeting a statement that such notice was furnished as particularly described by me in this public announcement. We'll take a roll call. Councilwoman Foster. Here. Councilman Iannaccone.
Here.
Councilwoman Lindsay. Here. Councilman Polipchuk.
Here.
Councilman Russo.
Here.
Councilman Silva.
Present.
Council President Umbriac.
Here.
Mr. President, you have a quorum.
Thank you. If we could please pause for a moment of silence.
Council President?
Yes, sir.
Remember the Cheatham family, as Michael Cheatham passed away, so we can remember their family and our thoughts and prayers to them.
Thank you. If we can please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have 3 items on the consent agenda. I am going to split them in 2. At this time, I would ask for unless a member of council would like to pull them or discuss one, I would ask for a motion to approve consent agenda items number 1 and 2.
I'll make a motion to approve consent agenda items number 1 and 2.
Second.
Councilwoman Foster.
Yes.
Councilman Iannaccone.
Yes.
Councilwoman Lindsay.
Yes.
Councilman Polipchuk.
Yes.
Councilman Russo.
Yes.
Councilman Silva.
Yes.
Council President Umbriac.
Yes.
Motion carries. I will now ask for a motion to adopt consent agenda item number 3, the Valley View Drive Block Party on October 31st.
I'll make a motion to introduce consent agenda number 3.
Second.
Okay, on the adoption of consent
Sorry,
agenda
adopt.
item number 3, Councilwoman Foster.
Yes.
Councilman Iannaccone.
Abstain.
Councilwoman Lindsay.
Yes.
Councilman Polipchuk.
Yes.
Councilman Russo.
Yes.
Councilman Silva.
Yes.
Council President Umbriac.
Yes.
Motion carries. At this time, I'll open the floor for a public hearing on any matter. When called upon, please approach the microphone, state your name and address, and limit your comments to 5 minutes or less. Be advised that any derogatory comments targeting members of council and/or administration may be ruled out of order.
Mr. Burns, come on up.
Okay, good evening. My name is Bill Byrne, and I live at 100 Franklin Street in Morristown, New Jersey. And I just want to thank everybody for really praying for me. And I'd like to thank also Tim's wife. She got me out on Facebook when we were having coffee, and 100 people was praying for me that day. And I tell you, when I was at the hospital, went into the hospital August 16th to get this pacemaker. And so I just like to thank everybody here, from the town council, from the mayor, from Mary, who got me out on Facebook, and thank all the churches and everything, Baptists, everybody that's been really praying for me, and to coming through with flying colors. But the most important thing is I really like to thank the medical center, Morristown Medical Center, because the doctors, nurses in the cardiac department was really professional and stuff. And I just felt really good there. And I wasn't, I kid you not, I was scared when I found out I was going to get a pacemaker. But as I say, I brag a lot when I'm on these Zoom calls with other people with disabilities, because they'll say, "Oh, where are you from?" And I said, "Hey, I'm from the greatest town on the whole hemisphere here, and Morristown. And so Morristown is a really great town, and I really love the people here. You know, even the different cultures. You know, I love the people. You know, it's a friendly town. And so, as long as I live, I'll continue being an ambassador for the town of Morristown because, you know, it's really a great town here with a lot of the small businesses and everything and the different cultures. And, you know, Morristown is awesome. And so I thank all the medical people that worked on me, and especially Dr. Winters and the medical team, because, you know, they told me everything, what they were going to do and this and that, and gave me a rundown. And, you know, next thing I know, they tell me, put this mask on. I was out like a light, don't remember nothing. I remember waking up and Dr. Winters coming up to me and saying, hey, Bill, the operation was a success. So I thank everybody here and all the residents that really prayed for me, and thank Tim, because me and Tim are really good friends, and Mary, and I really appreciate you guys, and especially the people out in the community here, really appreciate them. And so thank you for praying for me, and continue prayer. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
Anyone else from the public? Yes, ma'am, come on up.
Hi, it's Debbie Rice-Lanen from 320 South Street.
I'm sorry, can you please spell your last name?
Yeah, sorry, RYYSYLAINEN.
And E-N?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I have talked to Chris one-on-one about this, so I'm sort of, my mind is at rest on it, but I just did want to say, sort of make a plea from Parsons Village and also Convent News for more, well, not more, but transparency about the Atlantic Health development. So we've just been through a whole week of like knowing that there's some meetings happening, hearing about it on the grapevine. One's a public meeting, two are private, we're not included. And it's been very difficult to try and find any information about that. So apparently, you know, everything's cancelled now. I'm main concerned about the reason for it being cancelled. I think, Bob, thank you for responding. You told me it's because most of the questions are about traffic, and there has been no traffic study yet. So my sort of outstanding question at this point is, when will that traffic study be complete? Do we know? Because this time last year, it was, you know, as soon as we get the new council in place in January, this is all systems go. We're going to have, you know, rezoning applications and so on, and then we've heard nothing. And we kind of wonder whether we're missing something. Like, I'm obsessively looking at the town website. There's nothing there. There's nothing on morristowngreen.com, which is just an amazing source of local news. So I'm just making a plea for, like, can we use, you know, the methods that we have to keep us informed? Even if there's nothing to say, at least we know there's nothing happening, you know? But we're just kind of left wondering about what's going on, what's the status, when are we going to hear anything? So thank you, Chris. Thank you, Bob, for being in touch with us, and just keep us informed.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public that would like to speak? No? All right, I'll close the public hearing. Council responses to the public hearing comments.
I'll start, Council President.
Sure.
Bill, you know, thank you for everything. You know, we're glad you're doing well. So keep up the good work over there. And Debbie, yeah, as I mentioned earlier, obviously we'll be completely transparent with you. As soon as we hear something, as soon as I hear something, or you know, anyone in this council or the administration, we'll make sure we let the residents know right away when there's a meeting. So, and obviously you have our information, so stay on top of us. But I'll make sure as soon as I hear something, I will get it to you, as I mentioned earlier. So I'm just putting it on record right here.
Very good.
And Debbie, they have met with us as individual council, give us a preview of the presentation. And it's very good. It's very informative. It explains why, explains what. They're very open to having the community meetings. It's not that they were canceled and not going to be rescheduled. Will be rescheduled. But I think a lot of the questions that came up at the meetings from several of us were about traffic. And I think Jillian and administration made a very wise move to let's see that traffic report first. You know, let's see what it says. And I think it's a good thing. You know, so So it's not anybody trying to avoid anything, it's trying to get more information and having more information for the public and what do you need with the house.
I just want to add that there is no reason to be anxious about anything. I live at Dorado Drive, so obviously it's of my personal interest, apart from the interest in the whole town. And one of the things that and personally I have requested is, that we have those meetings, and I'm sure they prepare it. So as soon as they're ready, they will announce when the meetings will be. You yourself said that there is no traffic study, so that's probably the reason why they don't have meetings, because unless they have it, they will call for the meetings. So I regret, and I'm sorry that last time some people were saying they were anxious, they didn't sleep, they were in panic. It's no need for that. So just waiting. The whole process will take its course.
Right. Anything the administration would like to add?
Only one thing, the comment that was made, it's open to all the public. So no one's excluded in any meeting. When it's a public meeting, everybody's open to it. It's not, Parsons not open to Green Hill, or Green Hill's not open to Dorado. It's, when it's public, it's public. So everybody, including, so it's nobody's excluded. That's all.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to the report of the mayor and town officials.
Okay. Really quick, I want to thank Let's Come Together. We had a community event at Cobalt this year, and they dropped off a couple T-shirts, and it was a great success. And I want to thank David Brown, dropped off a couple T-shirts upstairs, so they were grateful for all the stuff that we did for them and town support. Okay, October 10th, Dublin Pub had the ribbon cutting. They did an excellent job on the renovations of the Dublin Pub, so if you get a chance, go check it out. Pretty cool. And we're looking forward to some time at the pub. Saturday, October 12th, the prosecutor's office had Let's Unite a National Coming Out event at Pioneers Park, and it didn't rain. The plaza, it was a combat bias, hate and violence, and the Rotary's used bicycle and sewing machine collection was on. How'd they do, me?
I think they did pretty well.
They did good?
Yeah.
I couldn't part with the old sewing machine.
Okay.
But yeah, so that was on October 12th. Wednesday, October 16th, ribbon cutting was at Sushi Lounge and Parkside Tavern. Those guys did a great job investing in the Pioneers Plaza to accent what's going on Speedwell. As more is coming to that corridor. So that's great. And for those who like chicken wings, I stuck around and tried some wings. They're pretty good. So good for them, and they've done a nice job for the public and outside seating on both the Sushi Lounge and the Parkside Tavern. So we wish them great success. Also had a grand opening of Ethos Aesthetics and Wellness, which was really interesting. Pretty cool, a lot of people. And we had this whole health and wellness thing. And I'm sorry Chris Russo wasn't there, and Nathan, because you're both in that pharma world. And there was a lot of that chatter was all about all the different stuff that's going on with health and wellness. And it was very well attended, and it's on the corner of DeHart and Maple, the brick building. I think it's 15 Maple. So stop by, say hello. It's a really nice new business in town, and it's their 5th one, so they're growing. Saturday, we had the fall cleanup for all those who helped. Steve and his kids working on that bench. I watched you and your daughter just go at it on that bench, and I was like, wow.
A few hundred cigarette butts.
I know, they've been, and all the people that came out to assist Tina, it was really good. Great support from DPW and Chief and Captain sitting in the back. Great support from the Morristown Police Department and the Sheriff's Department. They really stuck around and made it comfortable for everybody as we really did a great cleanup. And obviously, we're following up with the police department on some issues. But hats off to everybody who showed up. Hats off to the Environmental Commission. Hats off to Morristown Media for working with the commission and promoting this. Hats off to Randolph High School
Right.
for showing up, Morristown High School, and a lot of the public. And, yeah, it was really good. So really, really hats off. It was a good turnout. Saturday, the 19th, we also had the Festival of Books, which, for those who could attend, the keynote speaker on Friday night was Fareed Sakari. Outstanding. How this group gets these keynote speakers is beyond me. It was amazing and learned a lot. And it's kind of scary, the stuff you really hear when you're in that, you know, when you hear somebody talking about the book he just wrote and the stuff that's inside that book. Can't wait to read it. It's scary what's going on in the world right now. But hats off to the Festival of Books and that organization for an amazing event Friday night and an amazing event for the weekend. Well attended, probably one of the most packed events that we have in Morristown when it comes to a festival like that. It's just amazing how well that does, the Festival of Books. So we had over 100 authors. It was just a terrific festival. So hats off to the Festival of Books people. Wednesday the 23rd, 2 to 4, we have, that's tomorrow, 24th, 23rd. The grand opening of The Address. Does everybody know what The Address is? It's a restaurant. I've eaten there, it's outstanding. So if you can make it, it's between 2 and 4. It's the grand opening of The Address Restaurant, 20 South Street. It's Greek and Mediterranean cuisine. It's very, very good. Saturday, October 26th, 5 p.m. Mark your calendars, because they used to do this on Sunday. It's 5 p.m. on Saturday, Morris Arts Pumpkin Illumination at the Vale Mansion Lawn and Reflecting Pool. Luminary Parade, storytelling, live music, and art workshops, and the illuminated pumpkin display around the Reflecting Pool. I think the weather's going to be cooperative, so it looks like it's going to be a good Saturday. And for those who haven't attended that, you should attend. It's a lot of fun. Thursday, October 31st, 2 to 5, we have the Morristown Recreation Carving Good Time Halloween event at the front of Town Hall. That's 2 to 5, the 31st, Morristown's Recreation Carving Good Time Halloween event at the front of Town Hall. And then, of course, from 2 to 6, that's Jillian and I's favorite day of the year, is the Morristown Partnership Downtown Trick or Treat. Town is loaded with kids. Our police department does a great job keeping all those kids safe. They're all over the place on that day, and we get tons of kids that come to our downtown from all over. And it's great. It's a great event. I think Jen's in the back. I know they're looking forward to that day. Jen Waring and the partnership. So we look forward to it too. Saturday, November 2nd, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. This is a great event. If you haven't experienced it, and if you have some time, please come up. I'll be up there. Saturday, November 2nd, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. is the Market Street Missions annual Coke giveaway in Morristown. It's on the green, women's, men's, children's, sizes available for anyone looking to donate new or gently used coats or winter accessories. Drop it off at the MSM Thrift Store at 25 George Street, Monday through Saturday, excluding Wednesday, from 9 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Visit marketstreetmission.org for additional information. When I tell you that the line wraps around the green for people, they come in from New York, they come in from Pennsylvania, people need coats for the winter. It's a great event. It's a great thing that the mission does. And it's great how many people donate and what they donate. I mean, the coats are amazing for children, for adults. So hats off. It's a great event.
Do you know
November
if they're
2nd.
still taking coat donations?
Yeah, they are. Just check out marketstreet.org for additional information. At 11 a.m., grand opening of Infinity Fitness. That's formerly NBD at 40 West Park. That's at 11 a.m. So those who want to check out the new fitness, Chris will probably be there. I may be there too. Town Hall is closed in observance of Veterans Day, and that will be Monday the 11th. 10 a.m. Veteran Service begins at Morris Township Municipal Building, and 11 a.m. Veterans Day service at Morristown Green. Please, if you can make it, please show up to show respect for our veterans, as it is a pretty much sacred day. Special announcements, and then we're getting to the end of the show. November 5th, general election information. Morris County Board of Elections, the number is 973-285-6715. This will be all posted on the website. Election at county.morris.nj.us for poll locations and mail-in ballot information. Visit morriscountynj.gov. All this will be posted on our website, so get that out to your email blast. In-person voting. Voting machines will be available on November 5th, obviously. General election day for voting in person at the polls. That's November 5th. When do they start the voting? Is it on there? Okay. Mail-in ballots can be requested from the Morris County Clerk's Office as an alternative to voting at the voting machines. Mail-in ballots must be postmarked by Election Day and received no later than November 11th. Early voting information. October 26th to November 3rd, Morristown Town Hall, Monday to Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. That's early voting, the 26th to the 3rd, and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. All registered voters in Morris County are eligible to vote early. It just doesn't have to be Morristown. All eligible voters from Morris County can vote. So please go out and vote. Important deadlines: voter registration deadline, October 15th, 2024, and Election Day is Tuesday, November 5th. Please exercise your right to vote. No matter who you vote for, exercise your right. And that's all I have, Council President.
Thank you, sir. All right, we'll move on to other presentations and reports. We have a Elections Transparency Act from Mr. Minchello.
Thank you, Council President. This evening, the council will be voting on second reading on an ordinance to repeal local pay-to-play within the town of Morristown, both for vendors doing business with municipalities as well as any developers who wish to do business with the town of Morristown. And this may sound silly the way I'm going to say this, but this is probably the most meaningless thing that you're going to vote on this year. And the reason why is because the state, through the Election Transparency Act, has already preempted this and specifically voided all local pay-to-play ordinances. So to back up, roughly about 20 years ago, the state enabled local municipalities to enact local pay-to-play laws. What happened over the course of the 20 years is that you had a patchwork of different pay-to-play across the state of New Jersey. You could be a vendor doing business with one municipality and give a contribution, and find yourself in violation of another local ordinance in another municipality. The state decided in 2023 that it was better to have a uniform state law with regard to pay-to-play. Now, I just want to, sorry, let me first say that I have to do a disclaimer that this is in no way legal advice for any candidate who is concerned about accepting donations, and this is in no way advice for any vendor who wants to give a donation to any candidate. So I have to say right now that I'm not giving advice with regard to that. I'm merely just explaining the current law. So what the current law does is it creates a state law that creates state thresholds for contributions. So previous, an individual's contribution would be at the $2,600 per individual per candidate cycle. That has since been doubled to $5,200 per candidate per cycle. Individuals may contract with local government if that contract is awarded subject to a fair and open process. Okay? What is a fair and open process? A fair and open process says that is the award of that contract done by a public procurement? Is it publicized? Is it open to anyone who wishes to submit for it? Is that award of that contract subject to a criteria? Is that criteria also publicized so that everyone understands there's a level playing field with regard to the award of a contract? Here in Morristown, all of our contracts are awarded through a fair and open process. So what that will look like, you may hear a request for proposals, request for qualifications. All our professionals, whether it be engineering, whether it be legal, whether it be an auditing or financial firm, are all subject to RFPs that are released by the administration, are then reviewed, and then recommendations are made for council. So individuals who then are awarded contracts under a fair and open process are then subject to those limits, as I stated, which would be the $5,200 per individual. The other thing that's important in the law is that any contribution over $300 would have to be reported, which means that the candidate would have to put the name, business of that individual on their filing. If anyone who's run for office understands that ELEC has certain requirements for filing, and you would have to put that individual's name. If it was lower than $300, you could just put it in the column that says contributions under $300, and you would not have to provide that name. Since that time, they have now lowered that from $300 to $200. So any contribution received by a candidate that is over $200 must contain the basic information as provided by ELEC. So really, when it comes to the governing body and the town, we're really out of the election or pay-to-play enforcement game. Any violations of this law have to be reported to ELEC, which is a state agency. ELEC can review those complaints, they can issue fines, they can sanction candidates, but they are the enforcement entity. The local government no longer has any authority with regard to that, nor can they remove vendors due to certain contributions, which used to be a right that a council could, or that a council could have. So that's the broad strokes of how the law has changed. And why I said this is meaningless is because this law has been preempted. I previously had advised the administration that it wasn't even necessary to repeal this ordinance because it legally has no force and effect. However, the state in the grant of state aid provides a checklist, and we want to get as many points as we can on the state checklist for state aid purposes. And one of the questions on the checklist is, have you repealed your local pay-to-play? So that's why we're doing this. I still stand by my original legal opinion that whether you voted up or you voted down tonight, it has no force and effect, but it will certainly help us with our checklist and our ability to get state aid. So I'm happy to answer any questions that the council has about the Election Transparency Act or the prior pay-to-play. Thank you.
Any questions from anyone on council?
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, good job. Thank you. All right, then we'll move along to council liaison reports. Ms. Tina?
I don't have anything.
Nothing?
No.
Councilman Pilipchuk.
Sure. So, as everyone knows, the Fall Festival was a couple weeks ago, and with their new tracking tools, they can count how many people actually came to the event without sitting there and counting every single person. So, despite the weather, 15,000 people came to the event. So, it was a cold and rainy day, and I got soaked a few times up there, but it was well attended and it was really nice. As the mayor mentioned, on the 31st, Halloween, trick or treat downtown. So I try to take my kids there every year. It's a lot of fun. So like Mayor said, get out there. And then the only other thing is the Schedule A, minor thing, that we've been talking about for a while. So the partnership did a lot of work to revise the Schedule A so that they can include all the properties that they feel should be on the Schedule A based on the way it's written. And they transmitted that over to the tax assessor's office. They expect the tax assessor to take a look at it at some point this week, hopefully, if not next, and get that finalized. Once that's finalized, they already have a draft ordinance in place, ready to go that just needs a couple of little tweaks here or there. I'm going to be discussing with the partnership, putting in some sort of trigger, and Mr. Mancello might be talking to you about this, how to do it. But make sure there's a yearly review so that we're not going every 30 years before we revise this list. So that's something I'm going to be working with the partnership. And then once that's done, I'll work with Mr. President here to get it on our agenda and get it passed this year. So that's really my goal. And that's it from partnership right now.
Thank you. Councilman.
For the planning board, nothing other than the next meeting will be this Thursday, October 24th.
Thank you. Councilman Silva.
Morris Parking Authority, a meeting was last Wednesday, the 16th. It was reported by the Director of Facilities that the October 12th event at the Hard Lot was very smooth. Also, there is some positions for open positions. The first one, property manager open, customer service human resource manager, park supervisor. So if anyone wants to apply to MPA, I think it's a very good place to work. On solar EV, they reported that it was favorable findings at the planning board or courtesy review. Permits were received, and they will start at the heart by demolition of the defunct solar panels, and that will be soon. And the last one is Dalton 2025 remedial repair. Bid is underway. That's all.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to regular business.
Okay, there are two ordinances for introduction this evening. First one is ordinance O-28-2024, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 4, licensing and business regulations, Section 4-3, itinerant restaurant licenses, specifically Section 4-3.3, licensed classes, term, number, restricted hours of operation of the Code of the Town of Morristown.
I'll make a motion to introduce ordinance number O-28-2024.
Second.
Are there any comments and questions from council? On the introduction of ordinance O-28-2024, Councilwoman Foster.
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone.
Yes.
Councilwoman Lindsay.
Yes.
Councilman Polypchuk.
Yes.
Councilman Russo.
Yes.
Councilman Silva.
Yes.
Council President Umbreak.
Yes.
Ordinance 28-2024 has been introduced properly by title and will be considered further after a public hearing on November 12th. Ordinance number O-29-2024, ordinance amending and supplementing the Code of the Town of Morristown, Chapter 7, Traffic, Section 7-11, stopping, standing, or parking prohibited during certain hours on certain streets, and Section 7-37, loading zones.
I'll make a motion to introduce ordinance number O-29-2024.
Second.
Any comments or questions from council?
Just a quick comment on it. Thank you, the administration, for getting this done. It's been something that a lot of residents have been asking me about, and it's actually one of the things that I wanted to do as a councilman too. So thank you for getting this done.
Excellent.
Okay. On the introduction of ordinance O-29-2024, Councilwoman Foster.
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone.
Yes.
Councilwoman Lindsay.
Yes.
Councilman Polypchuk.
Yes.
Councilman Russo.
Yes.
Councilman Silva.
Yes.
Council President Umbreak.
Yes.
Ordinance 29-2024 has been introduced properly by title and will be considered further after a public hearing on November 12th. There are two ordinances for public hearing and adoption. Ordinance number O-26-2024, ordinance amending and repealing Chapter 2, Administration, Article 15, Policies and Procedures, Section 2-87, Public Contracting Reform Ordinance, and Section 2-91, Redevelopment Pay-to-Play Reform of the Code of the Town of Morristown.
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance number O-26-2024.
Second.
At this time, I'll open the floor for a public hearing on ordinance number O-26-2024 only. Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. Any comments or questions from council? On the adoption of ordinance O-26-2024, Councilwoman Foster.
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone.
Yes.
Councilwoman Lindsay.
Yes.
Councilman Polypchuk.
Yes.
Councilman Russo.
Yes.
Councilman Silva.
Yes.
Council President Umbreak.
Yes.
Ordinance O-27-2024 is adopted. Ordinance O-26.
Yes.
Ordinance O-26-2024 is adopted. Ordinance O-27-2024, ordinance providing for certain capital improvements at the Morristown Municipal Airport by the Town of Morristown and the County of Morris, State of New Jersey, and appropriating $8,365,522 therefore to finance the cost thereof.
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance number O-27-2024.
Second.
At this time, I'll open the floor for a public hearing on ordinance 27-2024 only. Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. Any comments or questions from council? On the adoption of ordinance O-27-2024, Councilwoman Foster?
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lindsay?
Yes.
Councilman Polypchuk?
Yes.
Councilman Russo?
Yes.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
Council President Umbreak?
Yes.
Ordinance 27-2024 is adopted. There are 8 resolutions on the agenda for adoption. Would any member of council like to pull any for separate consideration?
163?
168?
Councilman Iannacone, you said 163?
Yes.
With that, I would please ask for a motion to adopt resolution numbers 162, 164, 165, 166, 167, and 169, 2024.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
On the adoption of those resolutions, Councilwoman Foster?
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lindsay?
Yes.
Councilman Polypchuk?
Yes.
Councilman Russo?
Yes.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
Council President Umbreak?
Yes.
Motion carries. Resolution number R-163-2024, resolution amending renewal of plenary retail consumption license 1424-33-022-015, issued to DeHart Associates LLC, trading as Tajmu Homestead for 2024-2025, subject to conditions.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution number R-163-2024.
Second?
Councilman.
I had it pulled only because I'll be voting no, consistent with the discussion we had a few meetings ago on the topic.
Okay, sir. Any other comments? Okay, on the adoption of resolution number R-163-2024, Councilman Foster?
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone?
No.
Councilwoman Lindsay?
Yes.
Councilman Polypchuk?
No.
Councilman Russo?
Yes.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
And Council President Umbreak?
Yes.
Motion carries. Resolution is adopted. Resolution number R-168-2024, resolution approving the best practices inventory and authorizing the town clerk to complete the best practices public meeting certification form.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution number R-168-2024.
Second?
Councilman.
Yes. First of all, we want to congratulate administration for the score on the best practices inventory. One of the things that we should be grateful in Morristown is the work of administration, because when we examine our budget and everything else, we're doing great, even though sometimes the economy is not that good. Obviously, this is very important because from that depends funds from the state. I have a couple questions for administration. There is a total of 52 questions for 46.5 points. We scored 39. What will take to raise the score? That's the first question. And the second, what is the degree of importance of the practices where we didn't score?
I might need you to repeat the second question, I'm sorry.
Okay. What is the degree of importance of the practices where we didn't score? Like, for example, one of them is, what is our timeline for budget? The end of March or April? Because it's two timelines.
So there is a statutory timeline we typically don't adhere to because it would require us to adopt the budget in like March. We typically do take our time, and we'll typically introduce our budget later in the spring so that we have the opportunity to really thoroughly vet all of the proposals. We produce all the budget documents and the binders and all the other kind of stuff that takes time. So we do typically take time to do that process, and so we do not typically adhere to the statutory deadline. There is no penalty for doing that. It's really, in my opinion, it's local discretion. It doesn't hurt us. We don't, we're not operating, inefficiently. We're just taking our time to really vet our budget process. And I expect that will continue. Although I do think next year we're probably going to be a little bit earlier in the spring. There are a couple of other items that we have made some local decisions about. For example, there's a question about exempt employees being paid overtime. The exception to that here in Morristown is our public works and sewer superintendents, who are technically exempt employees, but we do compensate them for overtime to give them parity with the employees that they work with, because they do work such long hours, particularly during inclement weather or emergency events and things like that. So to ensure parity and to ensure that we have, that we make that job, quite frankly, attractive for them to keep and hold, That's a local policy decision that we've made. There are very few best practices checklist items that we do not get yeses for. And anything that we do not get yeses for, there's certainly an explanation and nothing that I would consider problematic for the way that we run our town, or else we would be able to check a yes. And quite frankly, this is a bit of an exercise for the state to, I'm going to be nice. Yeah, I mean, they started this process years ago, you know, and during different administrations, they've kind of used this to browbeat certain municipalities that they thought weren't running well. It's really not targeted for municipalities like ours that are well-run and that, you know, do all the right things. I'd like to do checklists for the state because I think the way that we do things is a lot better than the way they do, but that's neither here nor there. And quite frankly, as long as we get the score that we need to get all of our state aid, everything else is gravy. That being said, I mean, we do strive to get as high a score as possible. We do want to demonstrate that we are meeting all the best practices guidelines, but I also don't necessarily concede that because the state determines that something's the best practice, that it's the right fit for Morristown.
Yes. Thank you, and I think that your answers gave more clarity to the people and even more happiness about how things are being managed here in Morristown, our CFO and our administrator, and of course the mayor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, on the adoption of resolution number R-168-2024, Councilwoman Foster.
Yes.
Councilman Anacone.
Yes.
Councilwoman Lindsay.
Yes.
Councilman Polypchuk.
Yes.
Councilman Russo.
Yes.
Councilman Silva.
Yes.
Council President Umbreak.
Yes.
Motion carries. Resolution is adopted.
Thank you. We have no unfinished old business. We do not have any new business. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned.